In this video, I'm going to go through the full list of documents and essential items you have to bring to Canada as an international student. Let's get started. The most important document, of course, is going to be your passport that has the Canadian visa on it. You can use that visa to enter to the country. And after that, if you are an international student, you should have received a letter from the university. It's called Letter of Acceptance, and usually it has a barcode on top of it. So you're going to need that letter. Make sure you print it out. Have it with your passport. When you arrive to the airport, show it to the immigration officer. They're going to check your passport, your visa, and the acceptance letter from the university. And then after that, you usually arrive at the airport. The immigration officer will provide you with a physical copy of your study permit. So you can get your study permit right away from the airport. At the port of entry, the immigration officer most probably is going to ask you where you are going to stay. So make sure that you have the address of the place that you are staying ready with you. You should be ready to answer that question. If you're going to forget the address, that's totally fine. Just print it out on a paper or save it somewhere in your phone so that you can answer that question right away. It can be the address to your dorm if you have already reserved a dorm, or if you have rented a place on Airbnb. If you haven't rented any place, maybe you are staying with a friend, maybe you are staying with a relative or family member, all they need to know is the exact address that you are going to stay after leaving the airport. One other document that I would highly recommend you have it ready at the port of entry is the contact information of at least one person in Canada. That person can be your main point of contact from the university, a friend, relative, anyone who knows you in Canada, who are actually looking forward to have you in Canada. Just have their name, email address, phone number, and the address. If possible, again, it can be someone from your university. You don't necessarily have to have a lot of friends or relatives in Canada before your arrival. There are some other documents as well that you wouldn't need to have it ready at the airport, but you're going to need it later on. For example, your official transcript, diploma, or any certificate that you have from your own country. Make sure that you have the original copy of your diploma or transcript. You have the official translation as well. You need to provide it to your institution or university, wherever that you got the admission from. Most probably they need to have the original version. You can check with your institution, but majority of the institution will require to have the original copy and the translation. And after that, I will highly recommend that you have your driver's license with you. Bring the original version, bring the international version if you can, and official translation. The reason being is that if you have a proof that you had a driver's experience in your home country, your process for getting a driver's license in Canada can be shorter and much smoother. So do not forget about the English version or French version or official translation. And the last document I would highly recommend you bring with yourself to Canada is your medical documents. Any medical documents like your histories, if you had any surgeries, any specific disease or family history that your family doctor in Canada needs to be aware of, or any type of vaccinations you have received since your childhood, or any other recent vaccinations like COVID-19. If you can bring a record of all of these items, talk to a family doctor or a physician in your home country, ask them to provide the whole history in a letter, either in English or French, and then bring that letter with yourself to Canada, so that when you visit your family doctor in Canada for the first time, you can just provide them with that letter, and it's gonna help them a lot actually to figure out what they need to do in case of an emergency. Okay, that's all about the documents, but what are the other essential items you have to pack in your luggage when you're coming to Canada for the first time? Most important one is your medicine. If you're using any medicine, make sure that you bring enough supplies for at least a few days or weeks until you get the time to get in contact with your family doctor in Canada and get the prescription for the refills. But before that, make sure again that you have enough supplies for at least a few days and weeks. Next is cash, credit card, and debit card. There are two very important things that you have to bear in mind. One is that no matter how much money you are bringing to Canada, you have to declare it to the immigration officer at the port of entry. As an international student, it's very understandable that you have to pay for your tuition. You still don't have a Canadian bank account, so you have to bring some cash and put it in your bank account to pay for your tuition, to pay for your rent or other living expenses. So do not be afraid of, oh, it's more than 10,000, I shouldn't declare it. No, you have to always declare how much money you're bringing to Canada to the immigration officer. The other point I wanted to mention is that after you open a bank account in Canada, you are barely gonna use that cash, because almost everywhere that you go in Canada, you can just pay for everything with your credit and debit card. You have your Canadian bank account. You can just go ahead and put your cash in your bank account. And next is your electronics like cell phone, laptop, chargers, headphone. One very important item you have to bear in mind is that you need to bring a travel adapter. A lot of countries actually have different types of plugs. The chargers that you have, it might actually not work for the plugs that we have in Canada. Make sure that you bring a few small travel adapters so that you can charge your devices. In terms of food, there are some types of food, plants and animal products which are prohibited. You shouldn't bring those products into Canada. If you bring those items to Canada and you do not declare it at the airport and the immigration officer would figure out that you have those items, you might actually face heavy charges. So you want to avoid those. If you would like to see what is the full list of prohibited items, you can check the Canada Border Service Agency website, and you can see the updated version of the full list of the items that you are allowed to bring to Canada and the food, animal products that you should not bring to Canada. And here is my bonus advice. If you would like to stay connected with your family and friends, you can purchase a temporary SIM card right from the airport. When you arrive in Canada, you can use the internet of that SIM card and stay connected in the meanwhile that you are receiving your permanent SIM card. Because to receive a permanent SIM card, you need to first open the bank account. To open the bank account, you need to first get your SIM number, and this process might take a few days. Make sure that you watch my next video where I'm going to explain everything about what you need to do as a newcomer in Canada in order to fully getting settled. Everything from how to get your SIM number, your SIM card, open a bank account, driver's license, and many other things. If you like this video, please like it and share it with your friends, and leave a comment if you have any questions. See you in the next video.